Hello, this is Jack from Fluency.com and welcome to this English lesson where you're going to get some extra tips on how to improve your English speaking. So I made a video a few months ago which has become very popular, and I talked about how speaking is a difficult skill because you have to be able to use the correct pronunciation and think about the words to use while interacting with someone. And also I talked about how most people don't get enough specific practice in this area. And that's why a lot of people say, I feel like my English is good, but when it comes to speaking, I find this very difficult. Also in that video, I gave you 4 tips in order to improve this area. Things that you can do on your own, except for tip number 4. So those tips were to work on your pronunciation, to improve your accuracy, to use my LRRC method, which we'll talk about again in this video, to imitate or shadow native speakers, and then also just to get some natural practice, either with a teacher or a friend. Today, I'm going to give you some more tips so that you can speak with more confidence, so that you can be more accurate and fluent, and also so that you can sound more natural with your English. And at the end of the lesson, I have a question for you that I would love for you to answer. So let's get started with tip number 1. Tip 1 is to expand your vocabulary, to learn more words and phrases that you're going to use when speaking English. So make this specific to you. Think about what you're going to talk about and learn the words and phrases you need to know in order to talk about that subject. For example, let's say you want to be able to talk about American politics for whatever reason. You'll need to learn things like left wing, right wing, Democrats, Republicans, election, results, voting, etc. And it's also wise to learn common everyday English phrases because you're going to use these no matter what situation you're in or what subject you're talking about. Luckily, I have made many videos on these types of words and phrases, and I'll leave a link to some of those videos in the description below. But when learning words and phrases, it's so important that you learn sentences and the entire phrase, or chunks of sentences, because this is going to help you with your grammar and it's going to show you exactly how to use these words and phrases within the context of a sentence. So expand your vocabulary by getting lots of input, and I'll leave a link to my lesson on input in the description. And then also take these words and phrases that you want to learn when you see them or hear them, and put them into something like Anki to get that long-term repetition and to internalize these structures. Number 2 is to listen as much as possible. And I made a video, a very short video called Always Be Listening, ABL, Always Be Listening to English. Now you might be thinking, why should I listen in order to improve my speaking? Surely those are 2 different skills. But listening all the time, or getting as much listening practice as possible, will dramatically help your speaking. Because firstly, in order to have a conversation with somebody, you need to be able to understand the other person. And if you can't understand what they're saying, then you won't be able to have a true conversation. Listening is also input, and that's going to help you increase your vocabulary. But it's going to do so in a way so that you get used to the way that people speak English. So it's going to help you understand how people speak. And finally, it's going to help your pronunciation too, because listening to the sounds of English will help you better make the sounds of English. So find podcasts, find YouTube videos like this one, watch TV, just do anything to listen to the way that people speak English, and do this as much as you can. Now, I want to say at this point how powerful my method can be, the LRRC method, because what it is doing is it's taking all these tips that I'm talking about and putting it into one easy to use method. So what you're doing is you're getting phrases that you need to know. You are listening to these phrases, so it's increasing your listening ability. You're repeating these phrases so it increases your fluency. And then you're also recording your version and comparing it to the original. And this is going to help your accuracy. So you can see this method, it improves your listening, your accuracy, your fluency. It helps you learn new words and phrases. And it also increases your grammar too, because you're learning through sentences. So again, go to the description and learn more about this method and how it can help your speaking. Now, the final tip is to stay consistent. So to think about the tips that I've given you and how you can use these on a daily basis. Okay, a daily basis. Now, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed with that, thinking, oh, listen all the time, do this method, practice with native speakers, and do the other things that Jack has talked about. But here's a good tip. Commit to doing a small amount every day, and then if you do more, this is a bonus. So commit to doing 5 or 10 or 15 minutes a day. This is your baseline. This is your foundation. So make sure you do this every single day. Let's just say 10 minutes for the sake of an example. So commit to 10 minutes every single day. Even if you feel tired, even if you're really busy, everyone can find 10 minutes a day to commit to something specific. And then there are going to be days when you do 30 minutes or an hour or maybe 10 hours. And that's great. Do as much as you can, but make sure you make the commitment to doing things on a daily basis. Consistency is key when learning a complex skill like the ability to speak English at a high level. So commit to the daily practice of using the methods I've talked about. And again, if you can do more, do as much as you can. Okay, so those are the tips for this lesson. Again, if you haven't seen the first lesson on this subject, then click the link in the description to go watch that now. Definitely check out the description. I'm going to have so many resources there for you. So take your time and read the tips in text format. And then also go to my website because I'm going to summarize this lesson as a blog post. Now, if you have found this useful, then please like and share it with your friends. And while you're still here, why not watch another one of my videos? Okay, thank you again for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.